right, we're live.
Good morning and welcome to the AI Executive Morning Buzz. This is your go-to live broadcast for real-time AI insights, industry trends, and executive level analysis. And as promised, without the hype and noise, I'm your host, Albert Ramos, and I'm here with my co-host, the CEO and founder, Nick James, and our virtual CAIO, Jason Hess. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining me. We're going to jump right in. So here's what you can expect this morning over the next 30 minutes. We're going to chat about OWASP. They release the new AI agent threats and mitigation guide. We're then going to switch gears into the trends that are going on around AI agents. You've been hearing a ton about agents. And then finally, we're going to walk through highlighting White Glove's AI managed service provider ecosystem. And we're looking forward to chatting about that too. We got a ton more. If we have time, we'll get it to you. But why don't we start off with the AI agent threats? Jason, you've been doing a ton of research here. I think the audience needs to hear about it.
No, thanks, Albert. Yes, so OWASP released their guidance on how to secure your AI agents. And this flows perfectly into what we spoke about yesterday with the AI AMF. So the secure capability of being able to secure your AI applications and solutions. This goes right in and it gives you tangible things that you can be able to do to protect your agents, understand the threats. So let's first talk a little bit about agents, because I know it's been the big buzzword across all of community of everyone's building their own agents, and every LinkedIn post you see about sharing their agents. What is an agent? Nick, you want to kind of help break that down of like, what do you think? There's so much there. There's so much to unpack, and everyone's just abusing the term.
Well, my mom just called me yesterday and said that she's starting her own agentic framework, her own agentic startup. I feel like everybody is building agents. Okay, let's rewind to like Zapier. Okay, like Zapier's been around for a long time. Pabbly Connect, Make.com. These were all workflow builders. Okay, that is not what agents are, but agents can be thought of that way. Agents are meant to execute a defined process. Now, what's different about agents, and a lot of them are, they're called, they're opportunistic. Okay. A lot of these workflow builders, which actually do surround these agents from time to time, are deterministic, meaning it already has a mapped path of exactly what it's going to do on step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But sometimes there's variability in processes, and this is where agents come in, where they're able to. I like to use OODA loop. Remember from the military, Jason?
Yep.
Observe, orient, decide, and act. Right? They're able to observe, orient, decide, and act, and use the tools that are made available to them. And it may not be the same way every time, which there is risks that come with that. So back to you.
Yeah, I like to think the same type of way. When you're providing those step-by-step and there's no ambiguity, those are automations. Those are maybe a subset of an agent, but that's just an automation. When the LLMs and the agents are making their own decisions, you're giving them ambiguous tasks, and it's working out that. Then you start getting more into that agentic workflow.
I want to throw in Lucidus real quick. We had a huge milestone. So Lucidus is a subsidiary of White Glove AI. Think of it like your super agentic team. We've just huge shout out to Tabalo Torres. He's our lead engineer on that. We've been processing vital records like birth certificates, death certificates, marriage certificates from the largest county in Texas. I won't say the name, but I'm sure you can guess. Between around the 1930s to 1950s, and you can understand the level of variability. So if you think about that workflow, there's a huge level of variability on, let's say, where a stamp is placed. So that's a great example of
yeah. And I saw some of those vital records. You don't see people writing in script like you did back in the 1930s anymore.
No.
So, being able to generate that and get the accuracy that's necessary to meet the expectations of the client was huge.
And we're at 6 seconds per document now. 6.5 seconds, I think Tabalo is able to reach.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And shout outs to Tabalo, and we got Dr. Donnie Went in the house as well, as always. And gents, I want to come back to this, right? Because there's a lot of people in the audience that are hyper technical, know exactly what we're talking about when we're speaking of agentic workflows, agents, and we're going to get into the threats. We also have those leaders out there that know they should be leaning into AI. Now they're hearing this buzzword of agents, right? And I keep hearing that, well, it's the future. It's the future. Agents are the future. Can we chat about that real quick? Are agents now, right? And I know the answer, but it needs to come from both of you because you all are behind the scenes on the technical front. And then we're, as an organization, right, integrating this in within the framework once we get to that step. But can you walk us through agents and are they here? What's the difference between agents, a GPT, and what people typically do on, let's use the example of Chat GPT, right? They go on it and they do some type of search or asking for information.
Yeah, so I think our agents here, yes. I think 2025, we've just seen flood of new agents, new offerings come out that are doing that. And you know, it's not different from what was happening in the past. You know, agents are just a very fine-tuned software as a service where you're giving it a task and it's going out and solving that task. You may not buy the entire suite, but you're utilizing it for that specific problem. And I think Gartner just released a report saying that by 2028, 33% of enterprise software will be agentic. So I think it is heading in that way. I think we're in the early stages and we're just seeing what you can accomplish with these agents. But I think within the next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be commonplace that you're going to be hiring agents to do specific tasks that you need automated.
I think a symptom of our integration between a human organic species and the digital technology that we built, right, was that we over-engineered how we interface, so human interfaces between the software and the humans, right? And we built overly complex software with thousands of screens. Now, you know, there's software out there where you can get certified, and that's like you can wear this like little badge on your shoulder and say, yeah, I'm certified to use this software because it's so damn complex to use. So I'll go back to what I said earlier in the beginning of 2025. My thesis moving forward is the best UX will be no to low UI, meaning the best user experience is going to be low to no user interface. Okay. Which means that when Satya Nadella goes out and says agents are going to eat the world, agents are going to eat SaaS, right? He's partially correct. I think he's overhyping things, but at the end of the day, we are going to do work without interacting with boxes on screens. And the agents will do that work for us and communicate with us naturally, like we would, like if I was working with you, Albert or Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I'm talking about when I get out to businesses and the enterprises, when I speak to leaders, right, and they're asking for feedback, like, hey, how do I position myself for the future? I said, look, you want to lean in, right? And we're here to help. We're here to help educate you, here to help you get within the framework, right? And eventually integrate into where your pain points are. But as a leader, your ability to communicate is far more highlighted nowadays, right? Because you're going to stop being highlighted for the mundane, repetitive tasks. You're now going to be in this advisory role in whatever department you're in. So communication skills, your EQ, your AIQ, I keep hearing that too, are very important. Now, with that being said, though, there is some adoption gap, right? Even from people using AI, right? But also the GPT to agentic workflows and agents. If people are just getting started with AI, meaning using the LLM models, should they be concerned about agents and do they need to hurry up and learn it as quickly as possible, right? I'm seeing this huge gap, but people are worried that, well, now it's agents, then it's humanoids, then it's XYZ. Am I too far gone? Any thoughts on that?
I don't feel that it should. I think being aware of it, but it is evolving very quickly, and there hasn't been a true leader in the space yet. There's a lot of people that are getting close, but there's not a common standard. So I think being aware that there are capabilities, trying to test some of these out with some of the leading groups. N8N has a really good product to build out your own agents and personalized. There's also some others where you can use browser use, conversions.ai, allows you to do browser interactions, and it does all of the steps for you. So being able to start testing some of those out, seeing what the art of the possible is always a great way to keep ahead of what's going on with all this new technology. But I think, I wouldn't ignore it, but it is something that you want to monitor because it will be a part of your daily workload in the future.
It's great. Well, let's switch gears. Let's go into OWASP. Nick, I know you wanted to chat about the agent threat and mitigation guy. There's a lot of people out there. These things are to your point, it's a digital species, a very highly intelligent species.
Yes.
And while they can do a lot of good, there are some players out there that are going to be using the agents for bad. Can you walk us through that?
I don't know. I usually delete these things. I got a Substack. I don't know where I subscribe to this guy, but Michael Marillis. It was called The Symbiotic Man. It was just an article, and it was just really like cleverly written. And the thesis was that we taught sand how to think like us, because that's effectively what these little the GPUs, CPUs, all the chipsets are. They're just sand, right? So it was amazing to think about how we've evolved as a species. But now, and what triggered me is when you said digital species, which it is, right? It isn't sentient, right?
Right.
But it still needs to be watched over. So I think let's talk about a few of the highlighted threats that came out of this amazingly written white paper from OWASP, which I'm a huge OWASP OG, top 10 for application security. That was my cup of tea back in the day. Number one is memory poisoning, okay? Because the memory that the agents have are outside of the LLM. The LLM is effectively a brain that helps the agent think, and it uses it, as a tool, but it's not necessarily the product itself, okay? So it has its own memory. Think of it like a database. And so database poisoning or memory poisoning is number one. Tool misuse is number two. I think not defining exactly when and how a tool should be used and for what purpose, that could be a configuration issue that you cause the risk of, or there could be manipulation of your agent to use the wrong tool to do the wrong thing, which could cause a risk.
It's so funny. It's so funny. We just had a podcast last night with Ryan Eggleston, and I'm sure some of you in the audience have seen it. If you haven't, go check it out. It's on the AI Executive. You can find it on Spotify, LinkedIn, and all our social media platforms. But we were chatting about this, and he brought up the Matrix. And I'm just thinking about it, right? When the agent infects, right, the species within, and they turn into not Mr. Anderson, the other one. And we're so close to all of that. It's nuts. I'm gonna go back and watch it. Ryan asked the audience, hey, go back and check it out to see how close we're getting to what it's showing there. They were just so ahead of their time when they made those movies. Well, he's mentioned the first three were probably the best ones.
They do say that Hollywood oftentimes invents our future. So right. We may be living through what Hollywood was putting out 20 years ago. Let me finish off this list here. Privilege compromise. It's really, really important that you're using some sort of a credential store or a vault where you're not giving the agent like easy and permanent access to like hard coding credentials. Basically, they need to be just in time credentials, meaning like when the agent needs to use this tool or whatever, it needs to go fetch and request access, which kind of defeats the purpose of automation. But I think there still needs to be a human in the loop.
Some guardrails.
Guardrails, and they could be automated guardrails, like certain checks are met, and then the credentials are issued to use the tool. And then two more, cascading hallucinations. That comes down to how you're prompting these things, how you're building them out, what language models you're using, your temperature setting, right? And then the last thing is obviously like all of this surrounding is basically human manipulation. So now red teaming and attacking an agent is going to be very, very important, right? We used to penetration test our networks. Now we need to penetration test our agents.
I know a lot of banks, speaking to a lot of banks, this is a huge focus right now, and just protecting from these agents coming in. The phishing that's going on and the social engineering has skyrocketed because of the introduction of and usage of some of these these bad players using agents.
Right.
And so
and that's the great thing.
multi-million-dollar investment. Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great thing about OWASP and why, I've been a big fan of them since the beginning, with the top 10 also as Nick. They also don't just tell you all the problems, they give you mitigation strategies. So,
Right.
Going through this document, looking at some of the mitigation strategies of your proactive, your reactive, and your detective measures in complement to what we've written in the AI AMF under the security section. Both of these together work really well and to be able to design your security best practices to protect your agents, to build them effectively, and to make sure that they're secure. So big fan of what they wrote. There's a lot of great content in there. So recommend everyone take the time to, if you're building agents or you have a team within your organization that's building agents, definitely recommend reading that.
And I want to throw in there, because you said mitigation strategies. I love that. And OWASP is really good at that. All of this spells out agent observability. Okay. Humans need to be able to observe, measure, detect, and prevent misuse of agents. And that all comes down to the software that you're using. And I think this is like one software that may not get eaten by agents themselves, because it's meant to govern agents. So I was actually on the phone with Steve Lucas, who is the CEO of Boomi, and they actually, it's pretty impressive. They built this agent observability. They call it Agent Control Tower. We're still sort of digging into it and exploring a partnership with them, but that's the kind of things that you need to be considering first and foremost, is agent governance through observability.
Yeah, I was reading through this, and there's some great stuff in there. Actually, I gave a phone call, and you gents know Ryan Strong over at Stone's AI, right? They found a great niche around risk mitigation and loss prevention. Not the sexiest of terms, right? When people hear that, they're like, oh, let's go focus on revenue generating and growing the business. But it's so important. What you all are talking about here is protect the business, right? So a part of the framework, not just evaluation, but governance, right, is so important, because that's also part of the protecting your company with anything, with any type of technology, in this case, artificial intelligence, agents, et cetera. So, I was reading through and Ryan and I chatted. I wrote down a couple of notes on, well, what can we do with this, right? So you read through OWASP, right? You have some of the notes and talking points and education that you all are providing. So here's how I laid it out. For developers, integrate security into the design and development of your agentic workflows or agent systems, right? For organizations, what we said here is adopt a zero trust model, right? Zero trust, right? You need to slow down and do this right and ask a lot of questions, provide a ton of discernment, skepticism, you might call it, right? And that's okay for now. So adopt a zero trust model for everything agentic workflow and all your agent AI environments, right? And make sure you invest there, right? Don't skimp out, don't get cheap, right? You need to protect the business. And then finally, just for the AI community out there, our audience, contribute, right? Contribute to the open source initiatives, provide your feedback, go read this, right? And give your thoughts, especially for those, right? We had the podcast last night with Ryan, who spoke a ton about agents and what he's building, but he too, as a software engineer, is thinking about the security measures, right? And some of the partnerships that we just spoke of are doing the same, and they're finding a nice little niche to help people out there. So I'm excited about this and what they rolled out there. I'd love to switch gears, gents. And I know we've chatted about agents. We've talked about the specific agent threats and how to protect your organization. Before we get into some exciting news that's going on this weekend, I'm going to throw in a wrench. We didn't talk about this during the prep, and I want to throw in a wrench because I saw a post this morning from Mustafa Suleyman, right, the CEO of Microsoft AI, and I knew, man, I've been betting on them. I've been betting on Microsoft. I'm seeing all the players. I'm like, man, they're using open AI as the first movers, as the guinea pigs, right? They have a ton of data, but then there's this other thing I know they're working on, and they came out. Do you all hear about this? This chip, this what is it called? Majorana 1. It's all about quantum processing computing. Did you all catch that at all?
No.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm throwing in the wrench. So I'm reading it through, and I need to do more research on here, but I think quantum computing is flying under the radar. what they came out with is they're able to use what they call a topo conductor, I believe, and they figured out using this chip to create a new state of matter. I'm just going to leave it there because that alone just blew my mind. Like, what are we talking about here? What is going on? Why so many changes? And now it's taking it to another level.
Yeah, matter material discovery is a huge with all of the reasoning models and deep research capabilities. Materials discovery is inevitable. Meaning discovering new materials, like in the pharmaceutical world, they call it drug discovery, right? But it's creating new compounds, new mixtures to solve ailments that could not be solved in the past without AI. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. That is all voodoo to me. I'm just going to
exactly where having these, as we get these reasoning models that are being able to do deep research, they don't have the same limitations that humans do. They can go 24/7 to try to find, and they don't have the same constraints that we do. So they can keep working through. So this is where I think when you get these PhD level reasoning models that are able to think through these problems and test their scenarios and their assumptions, it's going to really unlock a lot of things that we didn't think were even possible, especially on the matter side.
So what they're saying about this tiny little chip that can fit in the palm of your hand, right? It has the strength of every computer, every super intelligent computer combined. What they're saying is the scaling is 1 million or more than 1 million qubits, right? So just think about the compute power. It's faster, more reliable, and I think it was 1/100th of a millimeter. I mean, it's significantly smaller than anything that has been used or created, and this thing is just powering things up. It will have, to your point, it's just this ultra intelligent, we can't even comprehend, right?
Yeah, the innovation in the quantum computing space is really starting to take form now. So I would expect within the next couple of years, we'll start getting a commercialized and customer-centric use cases out of quantum computing. So looking forward to seeing what they can do. I know a lot of smart researchers are really putting a lot of effort into it right now.
I'm going to go back to edge computing. I mean, like, how do we deliver? Because right now everything's very centralized. We use massive data centers that have really large carbon footprints, and all the computing is done over there. We're able to do that because now we have 5G and things like that, right? So we send information back, and the big computers do all the big work.
Yep.
Now, I think quantum computing is really going to unlock how do we compute at the edge, meaning as close to you as possible, perhaps in your home or in your workplace. So we're kind of going backwards. Where back in the day, remember the janitor's closet turned into a server closet?
Yep. No, I was actually saying that in 2014 when we were doing cloud adoptions, that there's a flow of technology of centralizing, decentralizing. And I didn't know what that trigger was going to be in 2014, but I knew that at some point we're going to push everything back to the edge and back to the computers and stop centralizing all of that in the cloud. And this may be that trigger that pushes things closer to the edge.
I know we're not a stock market tracking podcast or a morning show, but I'm curious about how Microsoft's going to look coming once the bells open, as well as some of these quantum computing stocks. There's a handful out there that are pretty cheap. I bet they're going to skyrocket today. So I'm excited about what Microsoft's up to. Okay, let's switch gears, right? We're going to bundle this up because we have about 7 minutes left before people can take their phones into the sauna and steam room this morning. So I want to chat about how we're going to be at a pretty large event this weekend on Saturday. I'm pumped. I'm driving up from Houston. Jason, Nick, you're going to be there. Nick, you're a speaker. So it's the Kellogg DFW Leadership Symposium this Saturday at the SMU Cox School of Business. Totally pumped. Nick, you want to walk us through what's going on and what are we introducing? What are we going to be doing while we're there? What are you chatting about?
So much buzz. I'll be on a panel with a few of the professors there, and we're going to be talking about the sort of the digital worker revolution. And that's where we're not using the word agents, but it's about agents. And we're really going to be just diving deep on the business side of things and talking about human labor displacement, how to properly adopt. It's going to be a very, very informative discussion. And Vishal Modi is he is moderating it. And thank you to him. He pulled me into all of this. It's been amazing working with that team. And then at the end of it, Tabalo Torres, who, he's our VP of AI Incubation Labs here at White Glove AI. He's going to be dropping some amazing demos. Okay. First demo. Should I spoil it for everybody?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Just attend if you can. I'll throw the link to the Eventbrite in the comments.
Even if you can attend, I think we've got some bigger news that Albert and I are going to be doing during the event.
Yes.
What's going on? What'd you all sign me up for? What's happening?
So we've got our own corner, and we're going to be doing live streaming of the Kellogg event. We're going to get to talk to the keynote speakers, the panelists, and anyone else there. And we'll be able to share that with you guys right here, live streaming Saturday morning, starting at 9 o'clock all the way till 2 o'clock. We're going to have some great guests really talking about getting their perspective of AI, how to prepare organizations. So looking forward to that. I was talking to Albert, it's going to be like the Super Bowl Radio Row. We're just going to have a flow of really talented people come and sit down and talk to us for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about interviewing the speakers. I'm sure, they get their normal nerves when getting up on stage. So once they're done with their chat and they kind of brush off the cobwebs a little bit in those nerves, I'm looking forward to getting some raw and authentic conversations with Jason and I. And for those that are in the audience that are attending, feel free to jump in with us. Now, if you're going to promote your company, we're going to challenge your ideas. So just get ready for that, because this isn't just a promo show. We want to chat about what the heck actually is going on and how we're helping people. So that's great. And then also too, what I'd love to chat about, we have about 3 minutes here, right? I know we launched the AI AMF framework, and people have been asking about our managed services, our managed AI service provider ecosystem. Nick, you want to chat about that a bit? And I know, Jason, you've been working very hard around integrating this in and releasing this out to enterprise and small businesses. Do you all want to chat about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first formed the company, I took an old playbook. There's a whole industry, something called MSPs, managed service providers. Then there came managed security services providers. So I was like, why can't we be a managed AI service provider? And that's when we filed the trademark. Russell Swinney, he helped me think this up, former team member, great guy. So now we own the trademark on that industry, which is amazing. And what it actually means is that we safely and securely implement AI technologies in your business, right? But you're not having to hire people and find talent to manage it. We will manage it for you. It's a managed service. So it's an old playbook, new technology, right? Yeah. So for example, the city of Frisco, they wanted to find ways to create efficiencies for their traffic engineers because they're overloaded. Frisco's growing at an insane rate. And so the CIO of Frisco purchased our voice AI managed service. You want to tell them a little bit about that, Jason?
Yeah. So the service works. You dial into the number, and instead of talking to the integrated voice recording, which we all love, and press 1 to go here, or scream agent, operator, human as many times as possible until it finally understands. You don't have that. You have a voice agent that understands everything about that company. So they know everything about the Frisco, all of the city, all the streets, all the stop signs. So they can be able to have a conversation with you, be able to route you to the right person. It also has empathy for you, because most people that are calling, they're probably a little bit agitated, and, being able to have that empathy to kind of get down to what's really the problem. I think this is really the future of customer service calls, is really with our voice AI services, where you can have a agent that's there 24/7, does not get emotional, does not get fired up when you're talking to a client or a customer, and be able to give you the answers that you want. So I think this is going to be a great feature where people can start adopting.
That's so cool. Yeah, we've been getting notes. Hey, we love your media brand, the AI executive, your PR firm. I think we got one of those messages. Yes, we love the education platform that we have here. But what we also do, let's cut to the chase, right? We come and help integrate and educate you on how to put AI into your business the right way to grow your business and to protect your business. That's what we go do. I love this managed AI service provider model. We're here to help you all out in the audience. All right, so we're going to be at the Cox School of Business this Saturday, right? So make sure to check us out. We're going to be somewhere. I think they're putting us in a good corner, and we'll be interviewing a ton of folks and just having a ton of fun. And Nick, I can't wait to hear you speak, as well as Tabalo. But that's it for the AI Executive Morning Buzz. Big thanks, Nick, so much. Jason, thank you so much for being here, for joining us and providing your insights. Agents, right? It's not just a buzzword. It is here. You need to do a ton of research and making sure you protect your business from potential AI agent threats. As we always say, audience, please stay curious, stay innovative. We're here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7:30 a.m. And then if you haven't already, scan the QR code there on LinkedIn, YouTube, X, wherever you're watching this, right there on the thumbnail, so you can subscribe to our newsletter. And also, too, we're giving out a free chatbot. Why haven't you used it? Download the QR code so you can have a chatbot sitting directly on your website, client-facing. We're going to gather a ton of information and tell you what people are doing on your website with your verbiage and content. So
and make sure that you're subscribing also, because then you'll find out about all these special events that we're doing that may not be on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Excellent. And then if you haven't already, and I'll close on this, please make sure to go watch the season 2, episode 1 of the AI Executive Podcast with Ryan Eggleston, a senior software engineer. He goes through a little bit deeper, actually quite a lot deeper, on the technical specifics around agents. So excited about that podcast. And I was very grateful that he was on the show. All right, gents, thank you so much. And thank you to the audience for tuning in. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.